Hello. In this video, we are going for activity 2 from lecture notes 2, and this activity says that work in pairs and discuss about the topic in activity 1. Use appropriate conjunctions to give reasons and support your opinions. The topic in activity 1 was playing video games leads to antisocial behavior. Oh, let's first introduce ourselves. I'm Ishan Mitra Haldar. My metric number is 201390.
Mohammed Yunus bin Shamsubari, metric number 204686.
Okay, so let's start. And
So the topic
first,
is
the first topic is playing video games leads to antisocial behavior. Do you
what is it?
agree with it? I personally don't agree.
No,
You do?
yeah, I support video games.
Me too. We were actually kind of supposed to argue with each other.
It's okay,
But,
you can just list up.
Yeah, we can just see if these points can change our mind or not, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there are points for and against the topic. The topic is playing video games leads to antisocial behavior, and obviously we both don't agree.
Yeah.
Alright, so the first point that supports this one is playing or rather enjoying video games may encourage people to stay inside his room rather than going out, hence not allowing them to develop their social skills to the fullest. That means as they are playing games all the time, they are not leaving their room, and that is why they can't interact with others. What do you think about this?
I disagree. I think it is different for different people on how they want to interact with other people. You know, sometimes people feel like talking with others or socializing is troublesome, or they find it annoying. You know.
Yeah, there's also a phobia about it.
Yeah.
Do you know about it?
No.
If I remember correctly, or I also have written it, the phobia is called anthropophobia.
So yeah. Okay. So
There are patients like that.
So it doesn't mean that they're antisocial.
No,
but
no.
it just means they don't like talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
So
There
they're
are
fully
people like
capable
that.
of socializing.
Yes, they are fully capable.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, I think the video games are acting as kind of a
Therapy.
therapy or healthcare for them, because they are afraid of other people.
Yeah.
So I think this point is not so much standing,
Yeah.
and I think that it is totally depending on each individual if they want to interact with others or not. So it is not actually because of video games that they stay inside in their own room. Okay, the next point is video games. It is for, okay, it is agreeing with the point topic. Video games are considered addictive and takes up a lot of time. This leaves a short amount of time for other activities. That means they are spending too much time on video games, and they actually don't have much time left other than eating and sleeping to interact with people.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this point?
I think that point is invalid because there are so many other things that are addictive in the world. You know,
Like TV series,
television, workaholic.
Workaholic, yes, workaholic is
You can be
also like
addicted
that.
to working and I don't know.
Also, people are, as I used to be, I really liked sports.
Yeah.
And in my childhood, you wouldn't actually find me in home at the time of afternoon or in the evening.
Yeah.
So it is not actually valid that we don't have time for other things.
Yeah.
If someone actually likes video games and plays it, it doesn't literally mean that he spends all his time on that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think it depends.
It
solely
again
on
depends
that,
on
like
individual
whether they
mind.
want to spend moderate time on the game or not.
Or not, yes. So I also think that this point is also invalid.
Yeah.
So I think we are winning. And the third point that agrees with the topic is virtual chatting in video games may make someone more comfortable in socializing virtually, and as a result makes them unfamiliar in having real life conversations. which further inhibits their social skills. So, like PUBG, you know, four people playing together, and they are also chatting with others. So it is saying that because people actually chat in the video game, they are actually interacting with others, and they are fascinated by it and don't want to actually interact in real life. So what do you think about this point?
I
Do you
think
agree?
no.
We shouldn't agree
No.
actually. Because
I think that especially nowadays everyone has mobile phones,
Mhm.
laptops, internet is so accessible, everything is at the tip of your fingers.
Mhm.
So and I think that nowadays most people have meetings online, they have
Yes,
discussions
even
online.
classes online.
I mean they even talk online, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't necessarily mean that
Yeah, just take me. I talk with my parents through WhatsApp,
Mhm.
and I'm actually going to spend my 4 years in here. So it doesn't mean
If
that I'm not interacting with them.
yeah, if anything I think maybe video games like chatting in video games
Mhm.
help develop
Actually,
social
it helps
skills slightly.
develop. Yes, yes.
As long as
So
obviously yeah.
it is not making them isolating.
Mhm.
It is actually helping them with interacting with
Yeah.
others. And yes, I think that this point is not valid because there's Facebook, WhatsApp, and
All sorts of social
it's
media.
the interaction with other people is not actually bounded in real life, the face to face anymore, because there are terms like virtual socialization. So people are actually socializing virtual life. So I think in this regard, they are actually communicating with others through video games.
yeah.
So instead of making them antisocial, video games are actually making or encouraging people to interact with
to
others.
some extent.
Mhm. So I think this point is also invalid. Right. So the fourth point or the last point is the new generation also tends to think of video games as cool instead of having a cup of coffee and chat with friends. The mindset also psychologically borders one's interaction with others. So it actually means that nowadays young boys think that playing video games is cooler than actually going out with friends and like FIFA. Instead of going out in the field, actually, even my friends, many of my friends in Bangladesh, they actually like to play FIFA in computer. So this point is actually saying that the video games are really isolating people. They're actually making them stay inside home instead of going out. Like the old days, people would read newspapers, chat with others, play indoor games. So this point actually has some
Yeah.
heavy.
I think okay, maybe I have to agree with this point, but then again, you know, obviously our mindset has changed. Back then we didn't have all these fancy laptops and all to play games on,
Yes,
so we had to go.
We actually had to go. We must go
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah, and also referring to like the previous point, everything is virtual. Right?
Everything is virtual.
So just because it's staying at home playing video games doesn't mean that you're not talking to other people, socializing, right? But maybe because you're bound by your house, you just sit at home, right?
Yes.
So maybe that affects like when you go into real life situations, then you can't express yourself as freely. Because
actually, it might be like that.
Because I think virtually you're anonymous. People don't know who you
People
are.
don't know who you
So
are.
you tend to just say everything you want to say, right? If you're angry, you just let it out. If you,
On that point, the video games are kind of actually giving us more freedom. Don't you agree?
yeah, but it does give us more freedom. But in terms of being social, I think when you go into the real life, then suddenly you're scared to express yourself because you're not so anonymous anymore. People know who you are, and so you become a bit afraid or shy. So maybe I guess the last point has
some value and weight on it, right?
But
yes. Still, people are actually tending to use Facebook and WhatsApp. So I actually don't think that it is totally necessary to go out and interact because there's also gig economy. You can do the Python codings and other codings and earn from your home. So nowadays, if you think about the present, it is actually not mandatory that you have to socialize by talking with someone face to face, right? So even if you talk with someone on virtual life, you are not antisocial. The point and the topic is actually talking about antisocial. So I actually don't think that all these points are actually making some sense in the antisocial keyword, because video games are rather helping them, right? And I did some research and I also found some journal papers on it. There was one paper by Morgan Jettier of School of Psychology at the University of Queensland in Australia. He actually proved that video games have virtually no negative effect on pro-social behavior at all.
I agree, because I think that people who are antisocial, well, most of the time, it comes from the environment they grew up in, or the people they surround themselves with, or a certain event that traumatized them. So then they start becoming antisocial. They don't want to talk to people.
But even those kind of people are actually interacting with others through video games, right? And there is proof that video games doesn't actually make people antisocial, right? So I think it is kind of invalid that they are actually bluntly saying that the games are
antisocial behavior.
I actually don't feel it is right. And I also wrote something in my stand view, I think it is because of some parents. They just don't want to agree that their kids became isolated because of family issues or some issues like bullying in school, right? So I think that when they saw their kids playing all the time in computer instead of going out, they started feeling like, no, games are making our kids antisocial. But
they're in denial of themselves.
But so it is kind of not like that. They should actually seek for the real reason, because
so they just putting the blame.
Because University of Queensland is really renowned, and they have proved that video games have no effect on antisocial behavior. So I think that the people who are getting antisocial, who were actually outgoing before and becoming antisocial, there might be some other reasons.
I agree.
Because I don't think that video games will actually make people antisocial.
That's the thing. I think video games might contribute to someone who's already antisocial to become more antisocial.
Become more, not antisocial, to become more social.
No, I mean someone who's antisocial. It might make them slightly more antisocial.
Yeah, but if they are already antisocial.
But if they're not, then I think it helps them
communicate with others. Even those antisocial people also who play games, sometimes they must interact with others. So it is actually improving their mental condition. And so I actually am against the topic, and you are too. And we have also proved. We also have proof, and there is no validate proof that actually says that 60%, at least 60% of people are actually becoming antisocial because of video games. There's no proof of that, but there is proof that video games doesn't have any help or effect, any hand on the antisocial behavior. So we can actually agree. We can actually come to one conclusion that video games doesn't make people antisocial. Well, I also prepared questions. Okay. Let's just see. The first question from me was, do you have any proven statistic report where it says that over at least 60% people playing video games have become antisocial? Obviously no. It was actually to prove it. So I was actually going to attack someone with this question because there is no proof of that. And I think you also agree to this.
Yeah.
And the second question was, have you ever thought that the idea you have might be based on superficial ideas instead of having scientific stand, just because it became a hot issue and some renowned newspapers and magazines are writing an article on the topic? You know, sometimes magazines and newspaper articles, they publish something that is not scientifically proven.
Not based on the facts.
Yes,
Yeah.
because it's something that became hot issue, and people wants to know about it, and
So they just
so just for their publication, right? I think it has some negative effects on general minds, because people will think that no, if these big magazines and newspapers are publishing something, then it might have some issue, right?
Yeah.
But I think for those people, they should search on internet, because
In
even
research,
the
do some
even the
research,
journal
yeah.
papers, research, everything is found on the internet. So I think that instead of just believing in the articles from newspapers and magazines, they should actually research a bit more before going up to others and saying no, video games are making them
If
antisocial.
anything, I think video games help.
Yeah, they are helping.
I've read some papers that say, I've watched some videos that say gaming actually helps with reflex and like cognitive.
Yes,
functions.
and for cognitive skills,
Yeah.
I have also read
So
about
they
it.
help in some way.
They actually are helping, and also the chatting options are helping, right? So the final point can be like this: even though there are actually situations like, as we told before, to summarize, the peoples are not coming out of their home. They're spending a lot of time on video games, and there's virtual chatting. That's why they are not chatting in real life. And the last one, they think it's cool. But I think that these points are not so much having
they're
weight.
not strong.
They are not strong.
Yeah.
They don't have the scientific standpoint. So I think even the summary actually indicates that video games are not leading people to antisocial behavior. So yes, I think we can conclude, right? So the final conclusion should be for both of us, and that we agree. Playing video games does not lead to antisocial behavior. So that is it for our discussion. I hope we had some validated points and some scientific base to prove our stand, because there are research papers we told about that. So I think that we have points to prove our stand, and that was it for activity 2. I hope you also agree with us. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.